Welcome to our panel discussion around the theme of the experiences and challenges of adopting cloud in the banking industry. Now, cloud has become a way of consuming infrastructure, platforms, and applications as services. It has democratized the power of computing and has disrupted every other industry by providing the power of computing, storage, network, and analytics at the hands of non-traditional players and startups. However, banking industry is a highly regulated industry and faces unique challenges in the adoption of cloud and is getting disrupted by fintech players. Now, in this forum, we will try to understand the challenges the banking industry faces in cloud adoption and how they can be avoided, and also the pitfalls of cloud vendor lock-in. Now, welcome to the experiences and challenges of adopting cloud in the banking industry panel discussion by Ashnik. Today, we are very delighted to have great people with us. I would like to welcome our esteemed panelist, Mr. Ariel Roda, who is a Chief Information Officer and Head of Information Technology Group of Philippine Bank of Communications, which is PBCom Bank. Mr. Ariel, he is a senior management professional with extensive C-level leadership experience in technology and business transformation initiatives across several industries, including utilities, banking, telecommunications, gas, oil, and information technology. He is currently the CIO and IT group head of Philippines Bank of Communications, PBCom Bank. I also have with me Mr. Ramos Abasolo, who is a SVP and Chief Digital Officer of Robinsons Bank. With more than 35 years of banking and technology experience, Mr. Ramon is now driving key digital initiatives in Robinsons Bank. In 2020, as we all know, despite the pandemic and the lockdowns, Robinson Bank had successfully launched several digital services. Among these are a fully digital customer acquisition app called SignUp and a newly upgraded online banking system that is run in the cloud. Again, welcome to both of you to this esteemed panel discussion around cloud and its challenges. Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we will start with our panel discussion, Ariel and Ramon. So as you both know, the panel discussion is around the cloud and its challenges. Before I start with my questions, if you would like to give a little bit of introduction about your journey so far on the cloud for your organization, your experiences, and then we can shift the gears on the actual questions. So Ariel, you would like to start first with your bank's journey on the cloud first?
Oh, thank you, KP. So glad to be here. Thank you for inviting us. Well, as far as our cloud journey is concerned, it's still a short journey. So we've been on the cloud for probably a little over 12 months.
Okay.
So we have our chatbot on the cloud. We also have our core banking system on the cloud.
Okay.
So we've been working with a few vendor partners who have allowed us to move and take advantage of cloud services. Okay. And there are many pros and cons about this, and this is something that I probably have a chance to share later on with you and the audience. So there are many challenges.
Okay.
We're still struggling.
We will come to that.
We're still struggling. I won't deny that. It's not an easy path. It's not an easy journey. And I'm sure Mon would have his own set of challenges, as it is with not only the rest of the banking industry, but other industries as well. It's still evolving. As far as cloud service providers are concerned, I think they're also trying to improve the way they've been offering their services. And that means, many changes as well in the offering itself, and even in the way they've priced their services. So I'll stop there and maybe get into the details later.
Sure. So, Mr. Ramon, over to you. If you can share so far your journey on cloud for your organization.
Okay, thank you also for having me here. Robinsons Bank actually started its cloud journey with a software as a service initiative with our credit card provider. So that was our first foray into cloud with a software as a service. Then we moved to platform as a service, and we started first with our development and testing environment for the online banking app. So we started with that, and it was also to test the waters with our central bank, with our board, and with our senior managers, just to gauge the appetite. It was very promising. They were very excited that we were entering into the cloud environment. And then just recently, as in just a few months ago, we implemented our online banking app, our entire online banking suite, so both browser-based and mobile app, right in the cloud with a infrastructure as a service type of engagement. And yes, we've had our own challenges. We're still getting used to the concept of an environment that is not on premise and sort of delegating a lot of the management and operational aspects to a third party. And we're learning on the way. We're learning things about it brings its own set of opportunities and its own set of challenges. So it's been interesting, and I don't think we will go back to the way we used to work when we were managing our own infrastructure.
Great. So great to get this perspective from both of you in terms of your overall cloud journey so far. Now, coming about or talking about the specifics of the challenges, I would like to know, so far in your journey and even going in the future of your cloud migration journey, what 3 key challenges that you have faced or you foresee that you will face in the upcoming years for your organization? And I would like to ask this first to Mr. Ramon, if you can give some 3 key challenges that you faced or foresee that you will definitely face.
Well, one challenge that all of us thought would be a huge challenge that ended up not as major a challenge as we thought was our central bank. We were worried that the central bank will give us a lot of hurdles, a lot of challenges, a lot of paperwork, but it came out they are quite open. And they're quite open to even, and I guess PBCom can attest to it, even the core bank with all its customer information on the cloud. So that was one challenge that we all thought would be a problem, came out to be not much of a problem. The other challenges, of course, is the change of culture within the IT organization, wherein now their skill sets would have to change from managing infrastructure, hardware, to service level agreement management and outsourcing management. And I guess the last challenge was that we did learn of a lot of other things that we thought were part of the cloud engagement, items like disaster recovery, even network. There are some aspects of the network that we also learned throughout this journey. So I guess now that we've gotten our feet wet, now that we've learned how to handle those challenges, we predict it will be smoother along the way. But what are the other challenges we would foresee? I guess because we just recently moved, we will now go about the challenge now of testing the DR environment to see how it goes about and how it will be run. And I guess the other challenge will happen is I'm pretty sure there will come a time when we will have to move cloud providers, and that will set its own challenges. And so we're also trying to make it as seamless and as quick and as yeah, as abstract as possible to our customers. We do have certain technologies, container technologies, but we're still not sure if that will actually work when we move from one environment to the other.
Okay, okay. Mr. Ariel, if you can share some additional challenges that you have faced for PPCom Bank.
Well, I shared the same set of surprises with with Mon here.
Okay.
I really thought BSP or the central bank would really be a challenge, but surprisingly, they've been
Mm-hmm.
very supportive. In fact, they're the ones who've been pushing a lot of us in this industry to adopt more technologies,
Mm.
all in the name of inclusivity. Plus the fact that I'm so happy and I'm proud that my senior management and my board of directors,
Mm.
led by our president, Ms. Macy, and our COO, John Medina, has been very supportive of cloud initiatives. But having said that, internal to IT, because I have a very small team, I've roughly just about 50 plus people. So this is the
Mm.
core team that has been managing a lot of our partner vendors and
Okay.
other providers. So the key challenges are actually the familiarity with and the depth and scale of skill sets to
Mm.
fully understand, everything about the cloud. So each day there have been developments as well in that area,
Mm.
which is not only a challenge for the vendors, but they're also struggling how to explain best to how to explain that to us as
Mm.
potential customers. Second would be, I think, a challenge in crafting an appropriate business case, okay, to be able to bring up to management and justify an investment either in IaaS, PaaS,
Mm.
or even BPaaS. So we're seriously looking at business process as a service as well on the cloud.
Mm.
And the third would be the specific challenges in integration. So I would suppose if you bring up an application on the cloud that's standalone, uh, not too much of a worry, right? But once you have that same application, for example, our core banking interface with, I don't know, 40 other applications, it presents an entirely new set of challenges as well. And I'm sure my colleague Mon will attest to that. So it's an ongoing challenge as well. And fortunately or unfortunately, the cloud service providers are also, I guess, just a few pages ahead of us, if you ask me. And I'm sure
Mm.
Mon will attest to that. At least
Yes, yes.
they're just maybe one or
But
two
I
chapters
guess,
ahead of us.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
So that in itself is
and I
also
guess the yeah,
right.
and I guess to the audience is that you need, if you're going to engage with a cloud provider, you need a cloud
Mm.
provider who will give you the best support that they can. We
Yes.
Yeah.
understand they probably, and they're also not familiar, but they
Yes.
really have to give good support. We've had our own problems, and
Mm.
fortunately, we had a good cloud provider, and they were very quick to provide solutions.
Okay, great. Great to know that. And in fact, it was very encouraging to hear from both of you that the Central Bank of Philippines has been very supportive of cloud initiatives. And I'm seeing this across ASEAN region where, in fact, the central banks in every country, they have been very open and they have been very forefront in terms of giving out their policies, which were very pro cloud and encouraging all the banking customers to adopt cloud very aggressively, which was very good to see. Yeah, and I think good that you highlighted the key challenges that both of you have faced so far and foreseeing that there will be some more challenges coming up, and it's just a start. So in terms of planning to address those problems in the future, how are you aligning your teams, your processes, your organizational culture, for example, within your organizations to basically handle these challenges that you foresee? If you can shed some lights on that and share with our viewers. So maybe Ariel, you want to go first?
Okay. Well, first we have to review the entire operating environment, right? In specifically for the bank I work for, Become. So it calls for simplification of processes. So if there have been, quite a good number of processes that have been manual based in the past. So it's a good opportunity now to simplify, maybe do away with, many duplicative processes, and maybe automate it. If to a point we can do straight through processing, even better, starting with the self-service perspective on the part of the customer, right? And delight them with a new journey. And I think that sort of environment as a precursor would make it a little easier to move stuff from on-premise to the cloud. Okay, because it also simplifies a lot of how we could properly manage that new environment. Um, the other area would be training. So we're still struggling with trainings. If you have a small shop and you have a lot of BAU responsibilities, the time allocated to trainings might be deprioritized a bit or deferred. So that's another challenge on part. So that calls for a vendor partner or a cloud service provider that's very patient, right? And also helping us navigate with limited or not as deep knowledge on cloud as they are. We're also looking at a lot of proofs of value. It's no longer proofs of concept that we demand. It's really POV, because I would like to think that a cloud opportunity for a much, much larger bank might bring back a different set of advantages than a smaller bank like PPCom. So we always we try to work with the cloud service providers who are willing to do a 4 to 6 week proof of value engagement with us. So that it also teaches us, side by side with the vendor, how best to go about a particular implementation or a challenge, for example. And lastly, we'd like to, we appreciate cloud service providers who really take the time to go with us on a walkthrough. Okay, so whether it's the intricacies of Dockers or microservices, or how best to do multiple databases and so on, or APIs, or even that particular side of cloud that's not often part of the initial discussion, which is security. So there are times when we'd like to put something on the cloud, and it turns out that that particular application has to shoulder the brunt of other investments. And then when you do the business case, it may no longer, look attractive because that one application would also have to shoulder maybe 10 times, more expenses than having a full, suite of applications on the cloud. So those are the areas that that we're doing right now to be able to keep abreast, of the advantages.
I really liked your point of proof of values. I think many customers are adopting proof of value concept rather than proof of your POC. Or
no, I'm sure that those things have worked in other countries. It's really just trying to reconfirm if they're as valuable to us as it is with their other customers.
Correct. Over to you, Mr. Ramon, if you can add a few more.
Yeah, I also like Ariel's term of proof of value, because a lot of vendors, they do proof of concept, but they just showcase their tool. What I try to pivot the vendor to is they have to have their own stake in the game, the thing that we call you have to show skin in the game. So if it doesn't work, I mean, they have to have some how would you say, they have to be part of the team. They stand to lose, maybe not as much as the bank if it fails, but they have to have skin in the game. I guess, everything that Ariel mentioned, it's the same for us. The other thing I will add to that is, aside from what he mentioned about learnings and training, we also need proper debugging and isolation and monitoring tools. Because what we're seeing the solutions now become fragmented, and it's even possible that a solution will reside in one cloud provider while another solution will reside in another cloud provider. PBCom is so bold that they put their core bank in the cloud first. So what we're seeing is that if there's a problem, because the solutions are fragmented, you're already the isolation and the monitoring and the problem resolution becomes quite a challenge, because there are some aspects which are abstracted from you. So you're no longer, and you need the proper tools to track how network connections happen, how messages flow from one system to another. And the quicker we have those tools available, the quicker the whatever incidents will happen will be resolved. And yes, there will be incidents, intermittent connections, response time connections. Yeah, those are the challenges. But if you have good people, good provider, good tools, you will eventually solve all that.
Correct. And I think both of you mentioned that the cloud vendor or cloud partner needs to have skin in the game. I think that's a very important point, because you don't need just somebody who is providing services, but you need somebody who is going to partner with you throughout this journey, because it's a different journey for all the organizations. It's a complete shift in paradigm where they are shifting from on-premises models to as a service models on cloud. So there you got a right point in terms of you are looking for right partners who are going together with you in this journey. So my next question is also related to that, where how you're going to avoid or look at ways to avoid any particular cloud vendor lock-ins, because inadvertently some cloud providers would be good at some services, whereas some other cloud provider could be good in other services. So it may end up having multi-cloud strategy for your organization. So how you are going to plan for it? Are you choosing the right technologies to avoid vendor lock-ins right away when you are deciding your strategies? So Mr. Ravan, if you would like to add a few points on that.
Yeah, that was a concern of ours when we started to embark in this journey. So we had to design or architect the solution.
Correct.
And I have to defer to the really techie guys, but I think they were able to design it like a container, or they were able to containerize the application so that theoretically it should be portable to any cloud provider in case we decide to disengage with our current one. We haven't tested that theory yet, but the vendor was able, they claim they've designed it and architected our solution that way. So I guess that's one way, because there will always be another cloud provider that is better than your current one. And I guess we just need to make sure we're flexible, that we will be able to shift to another cloud provider as quick as possible. Some might quote like 6 to 9 months. That for me is not acceptable to shift. It should be months or even a quarter. So that's how we prevent vendor lock-in. But fortunately, there are just a few players right now. We haven't gotten into a situation where we were unhappy with the cloud provider and we had to shift right away. But I suspect somewhere down the road we will encounter that dilemma.
Right. So Mr. Ariel, if you would like to add a few cents here.
Yeah, well, I haven't gone that far down the cloud journey to really worry about lock-ins, right? So as I said, we're quite new to the game, and what I've been focusing on right now would be the SLAs, so it's the service level agreements. So I think there's a lot to learn from how many of the cloud service providers have different sets of SLAs, right? Depending on how you're engaging them. The most complex would probably be a managed service arrangement, and I think Mon alluded to that. There will always be problems associated with outages, maybe not even enough resources that are dynamically allocated when you expect them to be there when the volume or the scale picks up, right? So we're still trying to refine the SLAs, and fortunately, our vendor partners have been open to continuous improvement in that area. The other part would be a concern right now on my part on what conditions might warrant an exit, right? For if certain pre-agreements have been breached or are not being met, what would allow me to actually decouple myself from that cloud service provider. So right now, I have not really encountered any, critical issues that would require me to make that decision. But I'd like to think I should be ready to be able to tap that option if and when I become big enough and it becomes a little bit more complicated, that another vendor can step in and say, you know what, Ariel, I can do a better job. Okay, that's what I'm preparing for.
Sure. And I think one of you already mentioned that how we are looking at containers to basically make sure that whether you move from one cloud provider to another cloud provider in the future, or even today, if you're running some workloads on premises. So
But that's another
probably,
challenge. I'd
yeah.
like to think that's another challenge. If it's an existing application designed,
Yes.
many years ago, right?
Correct.
In some old-fashioned programming language, and you're trying to push it on the cloud, then it would have its own set of challenges. Whereas
It
if
will
you
have its own
put
set
on
of
the cloud, right, design it for the cloud and everything, it should be
Yeah.
a little bit, more stable, I would suppose. Yes.
Absolutely.
The other one the other one I'd like to advise the audience is on vendor lock-in. Don't go beyond, maybe try to keep that contract into 1 year. 3 years is probably the max that you would go to. If they want to lock in for 5 years, that one I'm not sure anymore. The typical 1 year.
Good advice. Good advice,
Yeah.
man. Good advice. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I think containers or such technologies are going to play a very important role in your adoption of multi-cloud strategy, as you mentioned. But any other particular tools, technologies that you're looking at, or especially on the cloud adoption side, is your cloud adoption only targeted towards infrastructure as a service, or are you looking to expand it beyond that and looking at some platforms to be used or consumed as services, or some softwares also to be consumed as services on your preferred cloud vendor today? So how are you actually planning that navigation on the cloud? If any one of you can start on that.
I guess on our side, it's always cloud first is the solution that we will look at. So if we're looking for a solution, that before cloud came, it was either a build or buy type of solution. Where buy it's always on premise.
Correct.
Now with cloud, even certain components like API gateways, ETL tools for data, those that are not business type of software, but not really infrastructure type solutions, we try to see if we can do it on the cloud and if it is much cheaper and much more efficient. So I guess that's what we're looking at as well. But that's what we're looking at as well. But the reality is everything that's on the cloud sometimes may not be as value level, they're not as cost efficient as what some people might claim. There are situations where on-premise will still be best bang for your buck.
Okay, absolutely. Anything from you, Ariel, if you want to add? How are you looking at it? Is it PaaS kind of solutions or SaaS?
I agree with Mon. We look at cloud first, right? For any new requirements, what's out there? Is there anything hosted already?
Hmm.
Where are the other industries going with? Who are they going with, for example?
Hmm.
So I guess one of my advantages is I've worked for 5 other industries, so I can, get best of breed. Let's say if it's a CCAS, customer contact center, for example, as a service. Uh,
Hmm.
so similar to a telco or any other service
Hmm.
provider. So we try to get recommendations and see what's out there that I can immediately tap on the cloud.
Okay.
So right
Okay.
now it's building it is last priority, unless it's
So,
unless
so
it's so
yeah.
compelling,
Okay. Okay.
right? That I think it's a differentiator for us to actually go that route. But if not, then I'll just go with the run of the mill, best in class,
Hmm.
best practice
Okay.
software that I
Okay.
can subscribe to.
So one curious question here to both of you. So when you're saying it's cloud first approach that both of your organizations is adopting right now, so are there no more concerns in terms of your data residing on cloud? So all these concerns are already settled for your organizations within the industry. Is that what you're referring to?
Uh, I, well, in our case, we had to also seek
Mm-hmm.
the regulator's approval. I don't know if that's now across, all the banks, but I suppose the regulators would still require each bank to go through
Hmm.
the process
Okay.
of explaining, right? What exactly is it that you want to do with your cloud partner?
Okay.
Yeah, and if probably all their conditions are met, then that's when they either tell you they pose no objection or go ahead and pursue that path.
For my side, our management is very
Mm-hmm.
really encourages cloud. In fact, every
Okay.
time we make a presentation on where to host, our management will insist that cloud is part of the proposal. Before it was we had to justify moving it to the cloud. Now it's like you have to justify why you're putting it on premise.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, data is of course is still a concern, but because of the shift of a cloud first philosophy, we
Mm.
cannot go to management and say we don't want to move it into the cloud because of data confidentiality. That we can't go with that position. Because if we do, our management will say that's a problem you have to solve. There should be no excuse why we cannot host it in the cloud. Especially now that we know BBCom has hosted their core bank in the cloud. All the more we cannot, all the more that we can't give that excuse. So
Yeah.
my management will always say, how do you protect against hacking or people grabbing huge loads of or doing data dumps. So we have to address that. There's no situation where I cannot protect it, therefore take it out of the cloud. That is not an option. That is not an option for us.
Okay, okay. Great to know your thoughts, both of you. And I would like to just summarize what I have learned personally and what our viewers can look forward to from this session. So, some very key important aspects that came from this discussion was, of course, you are looking for cloud, especially our Robinson Bank and PBCom Bank both have started their cloud adoption journey for quite some time, especially PBCom Bank has already hosted their core banking application on cloud, which is very encouraging for other banks that are looking to adopt cloud for some critical workloads. And one important aspect that you both mentioned, that you're looking for cloud vendors and partners who would like to have skin in the game. They would like to be part of your cloud journey. That's very important. You're also looking for challenges like your team's training processes and of course monitoring and management tools, where definitely there should be or possibility to add value from cloud vendors is there. So I think with that note, I would like to really thank both of you for sharing the pearls of wisdom from the industry. And I'm very much appreciated about your time for today's panel discussion. And great to have both of you in this panel. I would like to just capture one, what we call it as Wi-Fi. So just give a good smile and we will capture it. One more. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.